We're back. This time we're going to be taking a look at Wave 21 ship. This time around it is the Denorios. It's the Bajoran solar sailboat ship. Not really sure about this one. I was expecting it to be more like a shuttle, but it is what it is. This is one of the ones I borrowed from my friend, so we're missing our generic captain as well as our tokens. But we do have everything else here, and we'll get right in and take a look at it. First thing is our dial here for the Bajoran Solar Sailor. And obviously the first one of its kind. There we have our Solar Sailor. It is a neat looking ship, I'll give it that. I remember the episode from DS9. Obviously it's slow. Actually surprised it has the 3s in there. Extremely maneuverable though, even as the 1 come about, the 2 come about. Granted they're red, but pretty much has everything else in there. And there we have our name, Denorios, Bajoran faction. 1 attack, which seems a little high for this ship, to be honest, but 1 attack, 2 agility, 3 hull, no shield. 2 tech upgrades for 12 points. And you have evasive and scan. Named ability is when defending, during the compare results steps, you may place an auxiliary power token beside your ship to cancel 1 hit. It's kind of a neat ability. Would have liked to have seen it on a little bit more useful ship. Still not sure the role that this ship is supposed to fill. Then we have our generic Bajoran starship. You don't lose anything in your stats. You do lose 1 tech upgrade slot for 12 points. For captain upgrades, we have Akaram Lamb. Captain skill at 2, 1 point. And he can field up to 2 Bajoran elite talent upgrades. Not sure why they just didn't give him 2 elite talent slots. I'm sure there's a reason. First thing that comes to mind now that I say that is the Andorian pilot for the Romulan drone ship who gets to copy the slots for the point cost of a captain. So now that I think about that, I understand why they did it. So one of the thoughts that people had for this ship, since it isn't going to be like a shuttle, was that it was going to come with a lot of cool Bajoran cards to fill out their abilities and stuff. Unfortunately, most of the ones that we get with this pack are limited to this ship only. I think all 3 of the tech upgrades are. Anyway, the first one we have here is mainsails for 4 points. At the start of the game, place 2 shield tokens on this card. When your ship suffers damage, remove these tokens first. You cannot use these tokens to activate other abilities. This upgrade can only be purchased for the Bajoran Solar Sailor, and no ship can be equipped with more than 1. A little bit of extra durability basically gives you 2 shields on top of your normal stat line. For 4 points, that's what you're going to pay for 2 shields anyway, so makes you a little bit more durable. Next we have Solar Sail Powered for 3 points. After you reveal your maneuver dial, you may disable this card to treat any revealed maneuver as a green maneuver. This upgrade can only be purchased for a Bajoran Solar Sailor. It's nice that it's a disable. It lets you basically pull those red come-abouts as a green maneuver, which is amazing. Or after you pull a red come-about, any maneuver you do, you can disable this to pull it as a green to get rid of that auxiliary power token you get from pulling the red maneuver. Definitely a nice card there to have on this ship, at least to help you out with maneuverability. Next we have Tachyon Eddies, 5 points. When you reveal your chosen maneuver, you may disable this card and add up to +3 to that maneuver's speed. Inflict 1 damage to your ship if you add +2 to your speed, or inflict 2 damage to your ship if you add +3 to your speed. This upgrade can only be purchased for a Bajoran Solar Sailor, and no ship can be equipped with more than 1 Tachyon Eddies upgrade. Gives you a burst of speed at the cost of damaging your ship. Bumps your normal speed up to a 4 without taking any damage. Possibly a 5 if you want to hurt yourself, or even a 6, which is really nice, but you're really going to hurt yourself considering it does 2 damage to your hull and your ship only has 3 damage to start with. So keep that in mind. Extra speed is nice, but not worth damaging what little hull you have. Probably the only real redeeming thing in this pack is going to be the Elite Talents. Really fleshes out the Bajoran faction, gives them some interesting things to work with. First thing we have here is Jahres. 5 points. Discard this card to target a friendly ship within range 1 to 3. That ship may perform an action listed on one of that ship's crew upgrades. If the crew is Bajoran, treat this action as a free action. This upgrade can only be purchased for a Bajoran captain on a Bajoran ship. 5 point discard is, I don't know, not really that great. The fact that it takes you an action from this ship to use this ability to use a free action on another ship just really doesn't seem worth it, in my opinion. Granted, if you put this on a cheap expendable ship like the Sailor here, then you're wasting its action and not the action on the ship that you're actually using it on. So in that respect, I can see where it would be useful. This seems a little overcosted for what it does for me. Next we have Emissary, 5 points. At the start of the activation phase, you may discard this card to remove all disabled upgrade tokens from all Bajoran upgrades deployed to all friendly ships within range 1 to 3. This one's pretty useful. Again, it's a 5 point discard, but for what you're getting on it, especially in the types of games I play where most people are playing Faction Pure, a full Bajoran fleet is going to get a huge bonus out of this. As long as your fleet's within range 3 of each other, removing all upgrade tokens from all of your stuff is just ridiculously powerful, and can gear you up for another attack run, especially with those smaller Bajoran fighters. Things like Interceptor 8 that have a lot of upgrades that can really boost up a really big alpha strike, but then they take you a while to re-enable them all. This will actually enable all of them, so you can do that same attack a second time. Next we have Legendary Hero. 5 points. You may discard this card at the start of the combat phase to gain +2 attack dice and +2 defense dice for this round. Upgrade can only be purchased for a Bajoran captain assigned to a Bajoran ship. This is another one that can make this ship at least playable in my opinion, but I see this getting a lot more use on something like one of the interceptor fighters or even the transport ships that the Bajorans have, just to bump up those attack numbers and make them a real threat. The bonus to defense is just an added plus on top of that. The mission that comes with this one is Ion Storm. This isn't one that I own, so I really haven't got a chance to play it. If I had to guess, it's about the episode where the ship is from. You have to take a 40 points of Bajoran, including one and only one Bajoran Solar Sailor. It's a single player mission, and you're attempting to basically navigate through this field without hurting yourself on the ion storms here. And there's a rulings for the ion storms and what they do. This looks like it could be a little time consuming, but entertaining part of the mission is that at the start of each round, you have to roll an attack die for each one of those tokens, and depending on what you roll, they move or can disappear entirely. And your objective is basically just to get from one side of the battlefield to the other before your ship destroys. Sounds like something interesting. Scenario play, I could see the ship getting a lot of use, storyline missions, things like that. As far as actual play, I'm still not set on it. There we have our base for the name Denorios. 90-degree front arc, no rear arc. And the base for our generic Bajoran Solar Sailor with the same. The ship itself is interesting. There's really nothing to compare it to. It doesn't have a ton of detail, but at the same time the sails are supposed to be basically a cloth type material, so they're not going to have a lot of detail in them. And the ship itself is just a tiny little thing in the middle here, so I'm sure you could do some amazing things with a skilled painter to make it really look cool, but it kind of looks like a goldfish to me. So overall, the pack itself is just an oddball. I was really hoping to see some extra Bajoran cards in here to really fill in their options. We got a mediocre captain. You can get the up to 2 of the elite talents, which is okay, but the skill 2 really kills him. all of the tech upgrades are limited to only this ship and it's generic, so they're kind of a wash. Some of the elite talents are kind of interesting. I can see where they'd be helpful, but really don't see any reason to ever buy more than one of these, with the exception of scenario and theme-based games. I think it'd be really fun to run the mission with multiple ones of these ships and have every player have one and run that mission together and see who can make it across first with the least amount of damage to their ship or something like that. Definitely for scenario play, it has its uses. I can think of maybe one or two other options for the ship, but really for the most part it was a letdown. I was really hoping to see something more like a shuttle that you could use to ferry stuff back and forth between your other ships or something along those lines. But it is what it is. If you're a Bajoran player, you're probably going to want to pick one up just to have it, to have the couple elite talents. If you're a collector, you're going to want one just because it's a unique and interesting model. As for everybody else, it's pretty much one you're going to skip if you haven't already. So, anyway, that's it for this one, and we'll see you in the next video.